Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
AJ Bell.
Kyle.
What's up, dog?
I'm good. What's up with you?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Just doing my Sunday thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's the first one back since I've been back in New Orleans. First podcast back.
Oh, yeah. Wait, where'd you go? I didn't even.
I was in Arkansas.
Oh, word.
Yeah, that's where I'm originally from.
Okay. I was wondering what that Arkansas license plate, who that was for.
Yeah, that's me out there.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was up there visiting family, and anytime I travel now, I take all this stuff with me.
Oh, okay.
Just to set up there and do some podcasts. It had some pretty cool ones. I got the, I did one with the police officer. So that was cool to see their take on like all the Memphis stuff that happened.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy shit right there.
Yeah, that is rough. Are we talking about, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Tyree?
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate event, but a common occurrence, unfortunately.
Well, so have you heard like any other stuff about that?
Not really. I haven't even seen the video.
I don't want to watch the video either.
It's
I hate like watching shit like that because it stays in my mind. It's like seared in there after I watch it.
It's a little traumatizing.
Yeah, big time. Like I remember one time when I was in I think it was when the internet first like came out, right?
Right.
We were looking on something like E-Bombs World or something.
I remember that site. My cousin showed me that.
Dude, we were on that and we pulled up this video of this guy getting his fucking head cut off.
Yeah, that was E-Bombs World.
Yeah. They took a knife, like a large like Bowie knife, shoved it in the side of his neck and like cut all around his head. And I watched that shit as like in ninth grade. Yeah,
that was when that was all going around.
That one, let's see if there's another one I can pull up in your brain. How about the guy with the mason jar?
Oh my God! When he sat on. Yeah. That's Hall of Fame. That's up there with Two Girls, One Cup.
Two Girls, One Cup.
Yeah.
It's another one, dude. Yeah.
That was a weird time. And then you seen the there's a guy going around doing a joke about this, the BME Pain Olympics.
Yeah, the one that chops his nuts off.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Wild. We all know this shit.
Yeah. That was like viral before like TikTok. That was what viral was. It was like 2 or 3 videos a month, and it was shit like that in the early days.
Dude, it's just like seared in your brain now.
Yeah, I can't get rid of that.
No. And
now it's like, all those stunt videos and stuff, but like now when you see it like actually close to you, like with the police and stuff like that, it's like, okay, that's another level of scary. I'm interested. What did the police have to say about it? I mean, it was a female cop, and she was obviously like upset by the whole thing. Right.
She said there's bad people in every profession. It's just the fact that we give them a gun and a badge, and this one they have authority.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously, whenever I hear this discussion, it's like always the radical, like, police are great, Blue Lives Matter, or defund the police or whatever. I mean, there really is more nuance and take to have to it. I mean, seems to be a faction of, racist cops, like just people who are just like, not even like racist, because this time it was like black cops from what I hear.
Yeah.
So I don't believe it might have been racism. It could have been, but there's just a league of bad cops that just aren't following procedure from what I hear.
Well, it's just
like rogue.
It's humans, man. You give humans authority.
True.
And they take it and run with it. And then sometimes they do crazy shit. Sometimes they do good shit.
And true.
I think that's the duality of this reality.
And true. But how do we like mitigate that human error? I mean, there has to be a solution, because just giving them, carte blanche to go out and qualified immunity, it makes them feel, I guess, immune to everything.
Yeah. Well, that was like a special task force from what I've heard, like the Scorpion unit or something. And I think what they were doing is they were having like a similar issue as New Orleans is having, where they had the police force numbers were down.
Right.
So rather than just recruiting cops and training them like that, like they normally would, right, taking through police force or police academy, whatever it is, they were just pulling officers out of the neighborhood and like deputizing them and giving them the title Scorpion unit. So I think that's where the issue came. And then they just got to filter these people more.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I feel like they try to. I mean, I don't know how true this is. I think this was on like last week tonight that I watched it, where they give you, like, the police officer, give them a psych eval. And if they do too well on it, like, they're disqualified from it.
Oh, because they don't follow orders.
Is that what? Oh yeah, because they won't do something that they do.
Dude, like, I feel like that's a big thing we have with the world right now, is that you fall in line, and the ones that like can actually critically think for themselves, they're the ones that aren't getting the good jobs and stuff. They're the ones that are getting like kind of shoved off to the side, because in the world we live today, they want you to memorize and regurgitate.
Yeah.
They don't want you to actually be able to critically think, because if you critically think, you can see that this entire world's a fucking scam.
Yeah, true. I think that's why education is so shit over here now. I think, educated, critically thinking populace won't stand for what's going on, and the people in power, stand to benefit from what's going on. So
Exactly.
it's a vicious cycle, because the dumber they get, it's just the less they prioritize education, and they have to be the ones, the populace has to be the ones to, prioritize education to get it funded the way it should be. But
yeah, no, we depend on the government right now to give us that curriculum, but no, the population has to step up and start doing their own thing.
Yeah, true. It's it is sad. There was what is it? I think the bell curve is like being pushed back. Like the average intelligence is just
I could see it
slipping.
Do you ever see those videos on like Instagram and TikTok where there's a guy that like interviews people in New York City, and he's asking like simple questions like,
oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, where's the Panama City Canal located? Or like, in what city is China's Great Wall, or what country is China's Great Wall in, or something like that? Yeah. Just easy ass questions, and people are like, well, I don't know. Yeah, like even
Japan.
how many states are in the United States?
Oh, bro.
And they don't even get, it's like 10. They're like, they don't understand it. He doesn't like call them out on the street. He always like, yeah, that's great. That's
right.
But it's just, that's how dumb people are getting nowadays.
Yeah, that makes me feel so sad. It's I don't claim to be like the smartest guy in the world, but I was watching another podcast recently where I don't know if you've heard of like this red pill stuff that's going on online with like the Fresh and Fit guys, Andrew Tate, all that stuff, all that nonsense.
Like I follow some of that. He got arrested, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. And there's this whole thing happening with that. I don't want to get into that because it's just a poisonous conversation. Like when you go down that road, but
I love those kinds of conversations. Okay, it's just me and you here.
All right, cool. We can get into it, but. Basically these guys, like there's an offshoot of the Andrew Tate brand, which is like the Fresh and Fit guys. These guys push like a lot of the red pill ideology, and they aren't like, I guess, out and out misogynists, but they have like a lot of misogynistic views. But what they do is have all these women like from all over the world in like the Miami area come on their podcast. So it's like 8 women and 3 guys and a guest they have on. And they went around the table and asked the women, name 3 countries. And like only like 2 out of like 8 could actually name like 3 countries. Everybody else was like, New York, Dubai. And it was just a sad thing to see. I mean,
how does that make you feel though? The fact that these women are that dumb and probably more successful than most people on this planet. True. Because they have tits and an ass.
True. And that's a lot of their points. It's like, as a man, you kind of like have to know these things. You have to like have some value intellectually or physically to get ahead in the world. But with you can post on Instagram and now you're an influencer. But that made me sad for like multiple reasons, because it's like, 1, yeah, that's true. And 2, it's not just these women, even though they're trying to make a point that women are like kind of like stupider than men or whatever. That's not the case. It's just there's a lot of stupid people now in this younger generation, because these women were like 20, 21. Never really cared about school, knew they were hot, and were on Instagram during class anyways. So,
Yeah, it's a subset of the population, just like everything we were talking about. There's going to be the good and the bad. It's just the way the internet is now, those people get the limelight.
Right.
Like there are really intelligent people all across the spectrum of life. But the ones that, actually stand out are the ones that, will do stupid shit on the internet, like cut their balls off.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's...
Or show their tits to everyone. Like I don't like, I know some of the red pill ideology stuff, and I'm for like a lot of what they're saying. Like I think that that is bad. Like the stuff these people are doing. I think it's not just bad for that person. Like do whatever you want to do is what I'm saying. Like live your life the way you want to live it, but don't turn around, when you're 40 and go, maybe I shouldn't do that. Or don't push these ideas on young kids. Like let them live their own life.
Right. I mean, a lot of what they're saying, I can see how it is like true. Like the what is it? Like the social paradigm between like men and women, like our relationship has become like a little shifted because women have started to like outpace men in the workplace.
I want everybody to hear you.
Yeah. Women have like started to outpace men like in education and in the workplace. So men's role has sort of come into question, which has left a lot of men feeling like, we're kind of useless. Like you're making more money. You're having the most degrees. The women are, in the workplace more than us now. And then they're in higher positions now. So a woman who can, provide for herself financially, whereas that used to be the man's role, feels like men are like losing their place in society and is off throwing the home life because you're both at work, or the woman's at work, there's no caregiver there. Nobody's taking care of the house. The kids fall by the wayside and they feel like it's destroying the family structure.
See, I heard other stats on this because I've heard the argument that women are outpacing men, but I think that's inaccurate.
Yeah.
I think that in certain degrees, like humanities and things like that, women are outpacing men. But in the STEM curriculums,
yeah, true.
Men are still there. So, I mean, that's a flawed argument right there, first of all. Secondly, I think that even if you start looking at STEM jobs,
right,
like you'll still see that men are doing a lot of those jobs. The idea that we have, this like leftist idea where that women are doing all this stuff, that's where the bad stuff comes into play.
Right.
Because it's like all these things that we look at all the time, they're an idea that's floating out in the ether, but it's not reality.
Right.
And even the stuff like the red pill stuff, like what they're preaching is reality to this ideology these people have, these women have, that's not real.
Right.
And so I think that's what all these things come down to is like the internet is preaching these ideas that aren't actually real. Yeah. That if you start looking at the real world, you'll see that most people that work on bridges
are men.
Most people that pull the garbage out every day are men.
Which I agree with. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like these red pill guys, there's flaws all in their arguments. Like a lot of what they say is just like, absolutely, just a little critical thought and pressure applied will start to crack it. But I mean, any man that really has any value doesn't say any shit like that because, as a man, you find your way, as a person, you find your way in the world. You find out where you are. It doesn't really matter like where you think you should be. It's just about what you want to do and becoming the best of yourself according to that path. But I don't know. But yeah, what you said with these guys pushing that idea out into the ether, I feel like they're just taking advantage of a lot of like young disenfranchised men who feel like they aren't getting a fair shake or like haven't figured out what their path in life is. And they're giving them a reason or a place to put all that aggression and saying it's not your fault. It's society at large and women are messing up. And, you as a man, you have to like become even better now and, compete with women now. And
see, I hate all humans equally. Like it doesn't matter what you are or who you are. I fucking hate you.
Right.
So I have an unbiased opinion with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone should just die. Yeah. I think the world would be a better place if everyone just died. Like, no, I don't care about any of these things. Like when people come at me and they're an influencer, I'm like, get the fuck out of my face. Like that's so fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Like who are you influencing and like what are you doing? Like and even like people that like Andy Frisella, you know who that is?
No.
He's one of those guys that's like far right guy and all he does is get online and scream at people, telling them how dumb they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you have all this money and you can see that like something is going wrong on the planet. Like, why not put your fucking money where your mouth is and get up and do something about it?
Right. Like Mr. Beast.
Yeah. Like Mr. Beast I fucking love that guy, dude.
Yeah, Mr. Beast is like the one only person from the internet. Well, I'm like, respect. Like,
the newest thing he did was he cured 1,000 people of blindness.
And people got mad about him. That's when I knew I was done with the internet.
Dude, it's like what? Like this guy just cured 1,000 people of blindness. He's showing you that there is good still in the world. And everyone gets mad at him about it.
Yeah, it's the stupid.
Like, what was the reason people even got mad at him about it for?
They were saying that it shouldn't be up to like some millionaire or billionaire feeling lucky. I mean, feeling like in a good mood for these people to like get lucky and maybe they might feel like hearing him. It's a systemic problem that he's propagating by participating in it. It should be left up to the system to fix itself to cure these people of blindness, not you perpetuating the idea that, there's always going to be a billionaire or millionaire coming around that's going to be generous and do it.
But still, why get mad at him? Like, get mad at the system.
Right.
Like, we can clearly see that there's a problem with the system. This guy's actually he's putting light to the problem.
Right. And you didn't even, that wasn't even on my mind. I didn't know that. I didn't know that like half the world's blindness could be cured with a surgery, with a simple 2-minute or however minute surgery.
Yeah.
He brought that to my attention. Now it's like at the front of my thoughts, like, why the fuck have we not? And he made a good point when his first tweet before he even did the video was just like, why isn't the government paying for these surgeries? Because the return on investment would be higher for these people to go back to the workforce and they would get that tax revenue.
That's a good point. Yeah, I haven't seen the actual video yet. I just saw a guy talking about it and that he was saying that Mr. Beast cured 1,000 people of this. Mm-hmm. And there's 200,000 people on the planet with this.
Right.
So, it could easily all be cured.
Right. No, it was actually like 20 million or something like that.
Oh, was it 20 million?
200 million, actually.
200 million? Okay.
Yeah.
But he said it's curable. So, I mean, why are we not doing this? And I think that honestly, if you ask the average person, hey, would you like some of your tax dollars to go to this?
Absolutely.
Everyone would say yes.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. Cut my politicians' pay in half and put half of that towards the surgery.
Absolutely.
Like that's the problem with all this stuff is like the people do not have the power right now. If the people had the power, because everyone that I meet wants the best for everyone.
Of course.
But those assholes that are actually passing bills and passing laws and saying where money goes, they're the ones that are the problem.
True. I heard something a while ago. I don't know how true this is, but it makes sense to me. It's the fact that people who seek out power, like usually the people who deserve power aren't people who seek it out. And that's an unfortunate like situation people find themselves in, because if you're a good person with good ideas and like you have a grounded view of reality and yourself and you have humility, chances are you're not going to like stand up and be like, everyone like follow me. And the people who are like very arrogant, self-serving, they're the ones who like don't have a very grounded view of themselves, narcissistic. They stand up and, pretend to be the people's champion.
They go for those power positions.
Yes.
Yeah.
They tend to be more sociopathic and stuff like that. And yeah, the people who are decent don't chase power.
So how do we fix that, AJ?
Yeah, right. Right. Because like, look at Bernie Sanders. Like, I mean, even when it happens, my biggest issue with his campaign was that he was like largely toothless. Like he was like scared to bite back against people that were really coming for his neck. And he was just a good person. He was like too good. I think.
Well, I wonder about people that are in those positions because like they see a different view of all the politics stuff than we do.
True.
Like maybe he knows that if he steps out of line too much, they're going to off him.
True. That's a good point. I mean, I'm not in the back rooms and seeing what's going on with the dealings with politics. So it's hard for me to say, which is why it's hard for me to get into politics in general. Not like into it myself, but like learning about it, because it's like, okay, all this information I'm getting about why
you never know it's true or not, right?
Yeah, like why does something so common sense seeming is not happening?
Yeah,
like in this world, like in the interaction between these two politicians or in this campaign. Like obviously there's more than what I'm seeing, so it's like hard for me to even engage when I'm not getting all the information I need. Yeah,
no, I feel that 100%. That's me with everything nowadays. It's almost like anything you Google, you can find the good side and the bad side of it. True. So it's like what is about this before, it's like what is true anymore. Like you can look on there right now and be like, hey, does masturbating make you go blind?
Right.
And you'll find an article that says yes. And you'll go, hey, does masturbating make you go blind or does it not? And you'll be like, no, it doesn't make you go blind.
Yeah.
Like you find both positive and negative. So it's like, it's hard to find the truth anymore. But I mean, I think there are ways. You've probably heard me talk about this before. The app that I was talking about, the political app.
Causes. Yeah, I have that on my phone. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm talking about something different. What do you have?
Causes?
No, what is that? Wait, we gotta get this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Causes. What is that?
Wait, hold on. You were talking about an app. I think Causes might be a knockoff of what your app is.
Oh, let's see what it is. Can you show me real quick?
It's
because I mean it needs to be done. Like I don't care who does it. It just needs to be done.
It is.
Is it like keeps the tabs on the politicians?
Not the politicians, but on the policies.
Okay.
It'll take like a bill that's like on the docket, I guess, in the House or in the Senate, and it'll sort of like Tinder, like it just pops up. It's like it'll give you the name of the bill.
That's perfect.
It'll give you like what the actual things are, and it'll break it down in human language and what the ramifications are, and then people can discuss it. And it'll show you like one tab for yes, and it'll show you all the yes answers.
Get
and what
the
the
fuck
top
out of
yes
here. That's a thing.
Is, like why people are like explaining why it's a good thing, and then it'll show you the no reasons and what the top answer is for the no, like why they don't want this policy.
Dude, I got to reach out to those people because I think they could take that platform they already have built and add a couple of little tweaks to it, and it could change the entire system. Because my whole thing is that right there is a perfect idea. To that's actually what I was thinking about making. But what they need to do is start tracking like how constituents in a certain area vote. And then they needed to cross-reference that with the politicians.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Like, yeah, if you got up with these guys, you could probably.
Yeah, that's all they need. That's all they need to do. And then you do that and you keep up with how many politicians. That is dope.
Like, well, hold on.
Yeah, man, it's the stuff though, right?
Yeah. The prosecutor over abortion pills. Do you want that to happen? Like, do you
support oppose? That's perfect. Yeah.
And then they break it down.
Dude, I'm downloading that today, and I'll try to reach out to those guys. But yeah, if they just put in a method to cross-reference the way the constituents vote with the way the politicians vote, then you have a method to see who's working for the people and who's not.
True, and you could break down that demo to see like if you can do it by districts. And you can see the way people are voting.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's what you have to do for the politicians right there.
Right. And
so you see who in the House, who's people voting certain way. You could even use that for local elections too.
Yeah, true. Because when you campaign, you can target like what are those neighborhoods, where are those places you can go to like possibly sway them to vote in their best interest.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Georgia. I mean, what Stacey Abrams did down there was fucking legendary. So
what happened?
With Georgia, she like flipped one of their seats and that gave us like the majority in the House. I think that was which election? The last election. 2020. Was it the midterms of 2020? Was our last midterms?
I don't know, dude. I'm the worst person to talk politics with.
I think it was in 2020. I'm pretty sure when Joe Biden got elected.
When it comes to me, I'm all about the systems. Like I can look when I look at the politics, it looks like a big computer to me.
Yeah. And
I see how the inflow of information is going, and I see like where the flaws are in the system. So it's almost like hacking politics. No,
true. It's hard for, like I said, it's hard for me to even engage when I don't have all the information that I really need of it. So as far as the people are concerned, they aren't my issue, I guess. It's more of, like you said, the system. Like I try to look at it from a top down perspective because they're the players, they keep the pieces moving. But I mean, what's actually there? Like what are we like causes? Like I look at what's actually being talked about and what.
That's what more people should be doing. The average person should be looking at these things way more and getting involved with it. And if it's something simple like that, where you can just get on every night when you get home from work, bam, support, oppose, whatever you want to do, you know?
Honestly, this might be a little naive, but I truly think this is the way like politics should work for everyone.
Yeah.
Like I should be able to get on my phone, see what bills are going on in the Senate, in the House, and Congress, and put in my direct thoughts on it. Like, yes, I'm for this. Here's why. I can comment on it. And that, as far as I'm concerned, politicians shouldn't even like have power. They should be like akin to just pencil pushers and people who do the document and paperwork. Like you just get it done. We say what we want. You wake up every day, you look on the screen and see like, oh, this bill got, a 90% overwhelming vote for yes, like federally legalizing marijuana. That should be a no-brainer issue. You wake up, you're a politician, you go to the halls, you see that. Okay, get the paperwork done. We'll have federally legalized marijuana by noon.
Yeah.
No,
I agree, dude. I think that the politicians should have the final say, but I think that the people should voice their opinions. Then it trickles down to the politicians. Politicians get to choose yes or no, but they also have to face the consequences.
Right.
Because they know that the people are watching.
Right.
So if the people aren't watching, that's the problem with Congress right now, is no one has a clue what's going on.
Yes.
Like they're doing shit right now that we have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
But if the people are actually watching, then the politicians have to deal with the consequences.
Well, I mean, we kind of are watching with a lot of like the votes that they have. They're all like recorded. We can see them like vote yes and no.
No one looks at that though.
Yeah,
like you and I are probably, two of the people that look at that.
We're probably in the 10 percentile of people that watch politics.
Yeah.
There's not very many people checking that type of stuff out. But it's unfortunate they should. That should be like a live stream event on this type of app. Like where it's like, oh, right at the top, you can see that red flashing like live right now in Congress. They're voting on this. You can tune in. But yeah, no, people just aren't as in tune to these things that they should be.
I honestly wasn't either at first. Politics. So I'm a very laid back person.
Yeah.
So when it came to politics, I was like, look, the government can't really influence my life, So I'm not even going to deal with them. I'm just going to let them do their thing. Like I'm laid back. But then when they shut this place down for the COVID thing, I was like, hang on a second. Maybe I should start looking into this stuff.
Right. Because with like stuff like eminent domain, that usually like surprises a lot of people. It's like, you don't really own your property. Like the government says we need it. You're out of there.
Yeah, they'll take it from you.
How do you feel about like AI maybe running everything soon?
So I think, that was one of the things I've been playing with the AI stuff, ChatGPT and stuff like that. It's a very useful tool. I think that because that was one of the things about this app that I was looking at. It's like when they post one of these bills, there's like 800 or 900 pages.
Yes.
Like no normal person's going to go read all this shit.
I'm not reading that shit.
Even though I don't think any politicians reading it either, being quite honest.
Probably 1% of them actually sit there and read it.
So one of the cool things you can do with the AI is you can use ChatGPT to go through this bill really fast, pull out the key points in it and the things that don't relate to the title. And it'll do it in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So you can use ChatGPT for this or use AI for these things. So like I said, it's a tool that we just need to learn how to use.
True. And the fact that it's like self-learning and it can like teach itself is ridiculous. There was something I saw. There was like somebody posted in like one of these groups I follow where they were fucking around with Chat GPT, and they posted they asked it, is 79 a prime number? Which obviously it is, but the Chat GPT was like, no, it's not a prime number because the factorizing numbers for it is like 1, 7, 11, and 79. Implying that 7 times 11 will equal 79.
Yeah.
So I went to ChatGPT to type that in, and lo and behold, they said the same thing. So I sat there and like tried to talk to it like a person. I was like, it said that. I was like, are you sure? And it was like, yes, I'm sure that 79 is not a prime number. And then I went like, well, you're implying that 7 times 11 is 79, which is false. And then it was like, oh, yes. And it was like, yes, you're right about that. And I'm like, so do you change your answer? And it's like, yes, 79 is a prime number. And then I typed in the question again, is 79 a prime number? And it said yes, because the factorized numbers are only 1 and 79. And it changed right there on the spot.
So I wonder I wonder if I asked it now, if it would learn.
That's the thing. I haven't gone back and seen yet. Yeah. So like, I am curious.
We'll do that whenever we get off the podcast, because I have it on my computer right there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Because I've used it quite a bit, actually. I saw that one guy, he was making books. Shit, we got to fix that cord.
Okay. I'll keep it just like this. Yeah.
So, I did one on the animal kingdom, and I basically went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, type me out an outline for a children's book on the animal kingdom.
Right.
And it gave me an outline, a 10-chapter outline. And then I went back to that same thread and I said, now write chapter 1. And it referred to the outline that it had, and it wrote chapter 1.
Yeah.
And then I said, write chapter 2, and went on until I had 10 chapters of a book written in like 5 minutes.
That is the scary part of it. And that's what a lot of like artists are like, rising up against. Like I follow a lot of art channels on YouTube, and every single one of them are talking about like AI and, boycotting its creations. Like when that AI program won an art competition, like a painting competition.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful painting. Like, I'm not going to lie. It was like fantastic, but I feel like that's like a dangerous territory a little bit.
Just because it's taking away from humans?
A little bit, or it can be perverted by humans for plagiarism.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because
like now I'm a famous writer right now. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, in 5 minutes, I
went to ChatGPT and I was like, write me a hip hop song about something, like some topic I gave it, and it did. It wrote like 16 bars and it had a chorus and everything. I was like, holy shit. It's honestly scary. The scariest part, I think, is the fact that they recently generated these AI models.
Okay.
Like these.
I've seen this, I think, that look like humans. You can't really tell the difference.
They look like humans. There's some things that are off. Like the proportions are a little weird.
Oh, the fingers, right? It was the fingers they were having issues with too.
The fingers, but let's be honest. How long is that going to be an issue?
Well, I wouldn't even look at it. I've seen the pictures. I wouldn't even look at the fingers. Yeah. Right.
People have to point that out to me.
Yeah.
But they're about to make like AI generated porn, which is about to be ridiculous for me. Like that is absolutely wild.
Yeah, that's
because a company can just set up an AI model.
Right.
And just use that. And with deep fakes and stuff going on too, and like you could generate that AI created model and then deep fake it onto like some other human's face.
Yeah, I saw a new thing last night too. It was that if you have any recordings online of your voice, that now it can take a model of your voice, and then it can they can do anything with it. They can call your family and scam them.
Yeah.
So I think what I was thinking about last night was like, how do you hack this? How do you not let this happen? I guess you're going to have to make a word for your family. So only you know the word.
That is some Black Mirror dystopian type shit, bro.
God, this is killing me, dude.
But yeah, that is a dystopian nightmare to have to call my family and be like, hey, it's actually me.
Hey, pineapples.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Kumquats.
Yeah.
Kumquats. No, that is ridiculous. And people who are internet, on the internet, or internet personalities like yourself, honestly, because your voice and face are being recorded.
Yeah.
So someone can take that data and make another you, and use it for nefarious shit. There was actually a scandal, I hesitate to call it that, but it was kind of an issue where there was a streamer who got caught paying for what I guess is someone who makes porn deep fakes of female streamers who don't do porn at all.
Okay.
So he was basically paying for this guy to put a friend of his face on a porn star and watch that video. And
that's so fucking weird, man.
Yeah, it brings into an issue of consent and your likeness being stolen, identity theft. It is a very complex issue, and he got in a massive amount of trouble for it. And it's it's an interesting like topic of conversation because it's like, what is the issue there? Because they weren't doing the porn, right?
Right.
Like you're not doing it. But is that something like you don't want to be associated with because the purpose is for your likeness to be made to seem like it's doing it?
Right.
And to the layman, nobody knows the difference because that's how good these deepfakes are.
Yeah, I guess I guess some good can come out of it though.
Yeah.
I try to think on the bright side here.
Yeah.
Like if someone like posted a picture of you, if a picture actually slipped out and you like, it was a bad picture of you, you were like, it was you naked in front of the camera. So you could be like, that's fake. Yeah. Just deny everything, you know? I don't, because like, who knows what's real and what's not anymore at that point.
True.
So you could just deny everything.
True. I feel like there is, maybe most people won't care. Like if something like that comes out, there'll be like people who really want to know if it's real and people who just don't give a shit. Like, oh, look at you, tiny dick, and then move on.
Yeah.
But I guess the issue is like, how much does your like reputation matters?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, if you're putting yourself out there, like the internet personalities that we're talking about,
True.
Then it's almost like you have to accept that it's going to happen to you eventually.
True. And I agree with that. I feel like that's just another hazard of being online. Like you got to just like watch out for it. And
yeah, I'm not a fan of it though.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I guess I'd be okay. Like if someone like took me and like made porn videos of me getting fucked in the ass or some shit, it'd be like, yeah, whatever, bro. Like, honestly, like who cares? Like if that's how people get off, that's just adding to my fan base. I feel like just come on. Like, yeah, you can watch me get fucked in the ass. Come on.
Yeah, no, that's the part that I don't care about that. But it's like, if it was my niece, that's
true.
where I start. That's where I'm like, God damn it. Cause like, I don't give a shit about myself, but when it's my like family members, then I'm like, okay, they're being raised in this world right now where by the time they get to be my age, this technology is going to be far beyond what it is now.
Yes, it's going to be a real issue.
So yeah, and I have friends that have like a lot of like young women that are their kids.
Yeah.
And I feel sad for those people growing up in this world. Because of the deepfake stuff, but also because of the success that these other women are having by being thoughts, online. Yeah.
And that's honestly, I feel like they're in danger too, because like now you got competition. You got like stuff that doesn't even have to be real. Mm-hmm. There were guys on Twitter freaking out like, oh, it's over for women now. Like we don't need you now. Like we could just generate our own model or whatever. To which like, yeah, you're kind of true. Kind of true. You don't need to like go to some chick. You can just have a girl you think is real, who's not even real, and just, pay for that, pay to see your ass and titties, or not even pay for it. Just generate your own porn.
Well, dude, the whole OnlyFans thing, it's so weird to me too. Like, why go pay for that shit when there's so much free porn out there anyway?
That's what I'm saying. I really don't get it. Maybe it's like more personable because you can meet like girls in your day to day.
You think they actually know you, so it's like you get off harder or something on it?
Yeah, because it's like, I've met, many OnlyFans girls here in the city, and then, I don't subscribe to any of them. It's just not my thing. But I imagine for like, the right person, they're just like, oh, I like this girl is really hot. This girl's really attractive. I'm probably never going to fuck her, but I get to see her tits. And like someone, like people, because let's be honest, a lot of people like jerk off to people around them. Like that happens a lot. I feel like, I've gotten people in honest corners.
That's why I come to the comedy night.
Well, you can watch it happen on stage. Just do it to ourselves. But like, yeah, like, people find people around them hotter because they're right there. They're not like a fantasy, and I guess that's the appeal of it. But then there are people who are just like a fantasy. They're just a model you'll never meet, and you're paying to like see their ass or whatever. It's like, bro, come on.
So for me, like the whole, like, jerking off masturbation stuff, I do it for the clarity. Yeah. Like whenever I'm getting that like brain fog of like, I'll think about his pussy and tits. Yeah. I'm like, okay, it's time to get this out of here and go on about my thinking about whatever else. Let me go back to thinking about what time is, Yeah,
true. As a human, like when you haven't like let that go in a while, it gets a little weird. Like I found that out. I learned that lesson in high school. Like whenever you get backed up, you would feeling, you start like your stare would linger a little bit too long. Yeah. And it's like, oh shit, I need to, yeah. But some people are like straight up addicted, and that's like a huge like thing that's happening. And it's like, yeah, I could see that too, because there's so much available now.
Bro, one night we were sitting outside at the table, just, chatting like we normally do around here. Right. And this young guy pulled up on his bicycle and he's like, hey, someone dropped their purse. And we're like, oh, thanks for getting it and bringing it around here. Right. I'd be like, we'll take it in the bar and store it in there. And I looked in his basket on his phone, he had his phone sitting in his basket, and it was just people fucking. And I was like, bro, you're just riding your bicycle around watching porn. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm riding my bike around watching people fuck. And I was like, that's addiction right there.
Yeah, straight up. That is
just a young kid riding his bicycle around watching porn.
Oh man, that is
Like, where does he go from there?
You know, I've seen that. I've seen that too. I've been like in line. I mean, I've seen like, you know, the softer version of it. I've been in line like at a Wendy's or something. I'm standing behind somebody and this dude's just flicking through like Instagram girls like shaking their ass and like TikToks of girls like wiggling around. And it's like, what? Why? What? But I guess it's nothing weird because people go to strip clubs, right? Like, that's just, I feel like the next.
Strip clubs weird me out too.
Yeah, they're so, I've only been twice and I've never felt comfortable.
No, I don't go to them either. I went to some when I was in college, and when we were there, I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I paying for this?
It first of all, you feel like if you're not spending money, you're gonna feel guilty.
Yeah,
like they're gonna make it very obvious that you're not spending money.
Yeah,
and secondly, it's like I don't want to just like get hard around a bunch of dudes. Like I just don't want, you know, we're all like sitting to each other and just like, yeah, bonus, right? Like,
yeah, we had one of our friends who very wealthy. He loved to go to the strip club,
right?
Because he had a ton of money, so he got a ton of attention there, right? He would just go throw money. None of us were super wealthy, so we would go and hang out with him. He would buy a bottle for the table, and all the girls would come over, but they all knew that we didn't have the money.
Right.
They knew he had the money. And at the end of the night, like he may pay for someone to go home with him, but the rest of us were just, you know, walking home with hard dicks.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, why don't we spend less money than what you spent tonight at the strip club, go buy a table at a club, a bottle at a club, and then invite chicks over to the table and we all have a good night. Like that makes way more sense to me. But at the same time, he knew that he wouldn't get the same attention unless he was paying for it.
True. And I think, you know, I think that's a major difference between like the psychology of men and women for like sex and like in the attraction realm. Because I guess men can buy into that illusion real easy and it's okay. Mm-hmm. Like they aren't actually worried about it. But for me, like I can't have something that feels that transactional. I don't buy into it real easy. Like with bartenders who flirt with their customers a little bit, it's like, you know what's going on. Like this is your job. You're being nice. Like it's fine. Mm-hmm. But there are some guys that are genuinely like, oh man, she might be into me. And it's like, bro, calm down. You know?
Right.
And that's the same feeling I get at strip clubs where it's like, okay, like you're rubbing up all on me. I'm not your type. I am not your type. I know what this is. You're coming for my money. And honestly, I don't really get anything. I get to see like ass and titties jiggle. I can just do that for free again. Like, you know, or I could go to an OnlyFans and get even more. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it to me. It's just, you know, if that's what guys like, it's legal. It's fine. Women pay their bills. It's all cool for me. I'm not judging anybody. I think sex work should be legal across the board. But I think it's a waste of money.
Yeah, I think some people like to do it just for the power. Like, that's why you see a lot of really wealthy guys going there because it's more of a power dynamic than it is anything else. Like she's here working for me right now.
True.
Boom. Here's your money. Here's your dollar. Fucking dance.
I don't have enough money to get off on that, I guess.
No, me neither. But like a lot of the people that I've met that like to go to strip clubs are very wealthy people, and they have like this. It's like that. I forgot, like type A personality.
Yeah.
Where they want to get money. They want to get money. They want to get like pussy. They want to do this. They want to do that.
Yeah.
The power thing we were talking about, like the politicians.
Yes.
Yeah. Like they need that, like, you know.
That's where their validation comes from. I feel like a little bit. And we all get our validation from somewhere. I'm not judging these people either. But I feel like that's the two ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like either if you're a guy with a lot of money, it's either like you want that power, you want that, you know, that validation, or it's like you're going to the other end where you're into that BDSM stuff where you want to be like humiliated by women and stuff like that. Because I've talked to like, there's stories of many like, you know, dominatrixes.
Tell me one of
them. Where like, she didn't say the name. Or this might be another comedian like in the scene story. Mm-hmm. I don't want to like, you know, like hijack someone's story, but apparently there's a woman who worked in DC as a dominatrix and it would be like an old, wealthier dude. I think this might be Ryan Rogers. Ryan Rogers, this might be your story. I'm showing you out here, but there was an old, wealthy politician who worked in the Senate, and he would come in to this lady who was black and tall, and he would just pay for her to like smash eggs on his head or something and like step on him. And apparently that's not an uncommon story. Right. Like when you're in a position of power, sometimes you want to go the other route and just like have that turned against you where you're powerless. Like, you know, that's what gets you going. And some people like get off on that. I got the money. I got the power. Yeah, yay me.
Oh, it was Kim, wasn't it?
Who?
No, Kim, was that girl's name? I think I've heard one of these stories that like about, there was another, maybe might be another comedian that was telling the story too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Asian lady.
Asian.
Yeah, Kim. I don't. Maybe I might be getting her name completely wrong, but she was talking about something similar one time where she said that this guy, he liked to be pegged.
Oh wait, I think I've heard this. Okay, we keep going. I still can't think of the name. But.
He would do the same thing. It was a politician that would come in and he would pay her an absorbent amount of money, and then she would peg him. And that's one of those dominating things again too, I guess. I don't know. That's like that entire side of life is just fucking weird to me.
It's like a complete mystery to me.
Well, I feel like there are things that happened early on in your life that make you go into shit like that, you know?
Well, yeah, like the first 15 years of like your childhood is going to be like a very like good determiner of where your path of your life follows. It's like it sets up all your like sexual proclivities, your fetishes, your disposition naturally, like how you operate with people. I think those first like 15, 16 years are crucial to that. And there has to be something that happened. Because, a lot of like, unfortunately, a lot of children are like somehow sexually abused when they're younger, and that manifests in multiple ways. I heard a debate on guys. I watch a lot of people debate online. So I heard a debate of a guy who was he was gay, but he was arguing against like gay rights. And his argument, like against gay people, is like, yo, you're gay. How can you like be saying that, you shouldn't be getting married and stuff like that? And he's like, I was sexually abused as a kid, so that might be responsible for some of my homosexual tendencies. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, you're a self-hating gay person who was traumatized into like homosexual, like that is too many layers to like unpack,
right?
And that must be one hell of a therapy session if he ever goes. But yeah, a lot of your early development, I think, is like crucial to how you turn out. And
yeah, I think me seeing a guy squat on a mason jar and it busting his ass made me never want to be pegged.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah. That'll do it. I've never had the
urge to get pegged either.
I've never had it. I don't know. Maybe I like it. I try anything once if I could be convinced, but she'd have to do some hella convincing. Have to do some hella convincing, bro. That is a one-way street back there.
Yeah, we have, speaking of like early childhood development and stuff, like, I think I read in a book a while back that the first 6 years, a kid is just absorbing everything around them.
Yes.
So everything that happens their first 6 years of life, it's subliminally affecting them long term.
Yeah.
And a good example of that is like some people in my family. We adopted, or we didn't adopt, but my uncle adopted 3 kids at a very young age. And 2 of the kids were in an abusive home as babies. Like they would put cigarettes on their legs and stuff like that. So that's why they adopted them. The 3rd kid, the woman got pregnant again. 3rd kid, they actually got it as soon as it popped out. So they took it home. The 3rd kid is the only one that's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't in that situation.
Yeah. He was in that situation. The other 2 like just have, issues.
Right.
Because their early development affected them.
Yeah, no. And, I feel like when you understand that, because I'm going through this phase, like a lot of people piss me off. I'm like you, like I pretty much hate everybody. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like I hate everyone.
That's why we get along.
Yeah. That's where I start. Like I start hating you. And if I don't go down from there, because I can like despise you, like it gets worse. Mm-hmm. But if I don't hate you, if I hate you, that's you're on par with everybody to me. Yeah. And I generally hate everyone. And then it only gets worse for a lot of people. But I'm starting to like see, you can't really hold a lot of people responsible for the way they are. Because I can see like stuff manifest now. And I'm like, oh, I've met this guy before. Like I met the guy with daddy issues. Mm-hmm. I met the girl with daddy issues. I met these people who are like really fucked up, real manipulative, abusive. And a lot of it, they'll hide behind like maybe some diagnosis, like I'm bipolar or like schizophrenic, which is like true. Like that is an actual like mental thing that can, develop in you just naturally, whether you have a good childhood or not. But I feel like a lot of trauma has to do with it. And, you have this awful personality. I don't hold it too much against you because I understand that we all are just like, victims of our experiences, in our environment. I'm not the best motherfucker at times. So like I get.
No, that's you brought up a really good point though. The pattern recognition. Because when you meet as many people as you and I do, I've met so many fucking people. You start to realize that, the different patterns in the types of people that you meet.
Right.
So you can see these people that have had, daddy issues. Mm-hmm. You can see the people that had mother issues. You can see the people that were abused. Yeah. You can just kind of pick out the bits and pieces. You can pick out a narcissist really fucking easy, or I can.
For real easy, yeah.
Dude, I've came across many narcissists and like I stay the hell away from them.
Yeah.
And as soon as they start gaslighting me or something, I'm like, okay, time to leave.
You know what I just became privy to that, like, it took me a while to like pinpoint, like, who is this person? There's a type of narcissist. I don't know if you heard of vulnerable narcissism. Bro, I was actually watching a show. An anime turned me on to this because once it got explained to me, I'll give you the story of how I recognized it. So there's this show I watch. It's called Odd Taxi. If anybody wants to watch it, it's a fantastic show. There was a character that was trying to go viral on the internet. Like, he was trying to go viral on Twitter. He was trying to like do all this stuff. And there was a criminal out there doing stuff that was like getting headlines and stuff. Like, people know this is like a criminal. And he accidentally got some piece of evidence that led to them getting like closer to finding this criminal. So then he started to get all this recognition. So then he made a YouTube channel where he's hunting down this criminal. And like every other week he's updating with stuff. And then eventually he actually like corners the dude. He finds him like in an alleyway somewhere, like, you know, like tied up or seemingly tied up because the criminal's trying to catch him. Like, he's like, why are you on my ass? So he's like, yeah, guys, I got him. Look at this. And then he breaks out and he has the guy at gunpoint. And he's like, yo, delete the video, delete your whole channel, all this shit, and make a video apologizing. And he does it. And then he has him at gunpoint. He's like, please don't kill me. He's like, I'm not going to kill you, but what the fuck is the deal with this? Why are you on my ass? Why are you looking at me? He's like, I'm just trying to go viral. I just want people to like me. He goes, you're just wasting your time on dumb shit. He's like, yeah, I just need my validation from other people. He goes, that narcissism of yours is what's going to get you in trouble. He's like, narcissistic? I'm not narcissistic. I hate myself. He goes, that's what I'm talking about. Most people aren't concerned with themselves enough to hate themselves. You're constantly thinking about yourself and trying to seek that validation from other people. That is narcissism because you're trying to center yourself in other people's lives. That's vulnerable narcissism. And that's what people in the real world do. But the way they do it is a little different, where they'll go, it'll be an obviously attractive person. And they go, man, I'm so ugly. And then that way other people come into them and go, no, you're amazing. You look so pretty. Or to be someone who's clearly talented. And they go, man, I suck. And they go, no, bro, you're so great at the guitar. You're great at this and you're great at that. And it seems innocent enough, but it's a form of manipulation.
They're already popping in my head. I know people that do this shit.
Yeah, and I didn't recognize that. I just thought, you know, these people might have low self-esteem. No, they're vulnerable narcissists. They get you to do the heavy lifting of their ego, whereas a regular narcissist does it themselves. That shit fucked me up. Like, when I recognize it, now I see these people. I'm just like, fuck out of my face. Like, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah. You know? No, that's what I was talking to a guy about this the other day. He's like, how do you recognize manipulators? Like, how do you learn this stuff? Or how do you recognize what he said? And I said, well, you need to learn the game so that you can play it better. Yeah. Because you just need to learn these things, like the vulnerable narcissism. Says once you know them, you can recognize it and you can either move away from them or you can manipulate your situation to sway that. Yeah. Because they're also called energy vampires. They will suck you dry. Like, these people who are just constantly making you their cheerleader. And, you know, I just don't have the energy for that anymore. Like, I don't tolerate it in my life. And I used to be surrounded by these people because I'm good at hyping people up. But not anymore. Like, I see that you have a clear thing you're good at. You're clearly proficient in this area and you're constantly putting that down. Fuck you. Like, get out of my face. Yeah, no, you gotta notice those things. That's one of the biggest keys to life, you know, is noticing or having the knowledge to notice these things. Yeah. Yeah. Like having just the awareness of yourself too, because, you know, not falling into that yourself, because I used to do similar shit to that. But it becomes, you know, a pain in the ass and people start to pick up on it and you feel bad. Now, if I see somebody come across that, when I come across it, what I like to do is go, yeah, you fucking suck. Like, get better. Get good, dude. What's wrong with you? Why would someone be that way, though? You know, like, why would someone need other people for validation? Because, like, for me, I know I'm awesome. Right. That's just how I walk around all day long. Yeah, no. And some people will call that narcissistic. And I'm like, it's not narcissistic because I don't walk around and brag. Right. But I do cool shit. Yeah. Like, if you can back it up, you're cool. Yeah. It's all internal too. Like, it's obvious. Like, you obviously do cool shit. Like, you never need to tell me. I always thought you were cool, but I've never heard you say I'm cool. Yeah. It's just something that manifests through the way you live your life. It's an idea in other people's heads. You know, I like to think I put that in other people's heads, you know, but I don't go around being like, oh man, like, even though I say I don't consider myself a highly intelligent person or whatever, I feel like I'm pretty smart. And I've had other people tell me though, but I don't harp on it. Like, oh, I'm so fucking dumb. I'm stupid. Just like, okay, I think I have an idea of what's going on. I'm pretty grounded in reality. Yeah. And that manifests through the way, you know, when I talk to people and stuff like that. I say a lot of comedians are that way. A lot of comedians are very smart people. And it's because they have the ability to critically think. Yeah. And you have to make jokes. You have to be smart to make jokes. And that's what I appreciate about the scene. Like, these people are down themselves constantly, but they aren't like being vulnerable narcissists. They genuinely think they're trash, but it's like, no, bro, like, you have a mind. Like, you are. Because I've worked service industry, so I've seen the other side where it's just like, you know, drug addicts and going nowhere. Yeah, they don't have a creative thought, but you guys like are actually interesting. That's why I appreciate the comedy scene. Like, it's full of interesting people, even though like a lot of them are pieces of shit, but they're interesting. They're interesting pieces of shit. That's why I love hanging out here on Tuesdays. Yeah. No, this place because there's so many cool personalities here when it comes to comedy. Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys. Like, because I remember walking into this bar with Marcus and him being like, I'm gonna start a comedy thing here. I'm like,
I'm looking around. I'm like, there's no stage. There's just chairs everywhere. I'm like, ain't no fucking way, bro. And he fucking did it. And it's become one of the best like mics to come to in the city. And one of my favorites to come to. I come here every week. Like, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
And
but dude, what's cool for me is I think this is kind of like a, you know, it's hard to sometimes whenever you're starting something from scratch, it's hard to like project and see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But like we've all seen the evolution of this.
Yeah.
Like this started with Marcus just going, hey, I'm going to start a mic here. And then it's bloomed into, okay, well, we're going to buy a PA.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to build a stage.
Yeah.
We're going to put some lights up. Like now we have all these things and it's kind of like blossomed into something. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes, you know, 5 years from now, or, you know, just the evolution of the whole like thing.
Yeah. You guys even like made this whole arcade area. Cause I remember when those skee balls used to be right here. Like right here. And we had to perform in front of them. I juggled the skee balls one time in the middle of my set. Just be like, there's a skee ball, and I started playing. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been amazing to see where this has gone. Like I have the same experience with my mic on Fridays with Ugly Dog. But that was already like pretty much there. They had this beautiful stage in this garage they just refurbished. Mm-hmm. And the guy working the bar, Kevin, was just like, I was commenting on how beautiful it looked. He was like, yeah, you want to start a mic in there? And then it just like hit me. It never occurred to me like to start my own mic.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. And then I did it. And now like 3 years later, Ryan's hosting it. He's done a great job and it's like a great mic. And people come there. A lot of people start their first time there. Mm-hmm. And it's like weird seeing them like start at a mic I started and then like become like, you know, producers of their own shows and get on all these other shows.
Isn't that cool?
It's so dope. Like,
yeah, like you put that seed there, you know?
Yes, it is. Like to see your like baby like grow into something else beyond like that's bigger than you. Like Ugly Dog isn't about me no more. Most people probably don't even know I started it, and that's fine with me. I just know I did something.
Yeah.
And when you trace back far enough, like, oh, you started Ugly Dog, like, yeah, it's all about Ryan. How did Ryan get that mic? Well, and then it'll eventually come back to me. You can say like, yeah, I started that little area. Not that the scene needed it, but the fact that you can, you know. You can, if life is just randomness, you can throw your marbles into the mix and then call some more stuff and bump around and have shit happen. It's real cool. It's real cool.
No, a lot of people like back where I'm from, you know, it's a small town. So I mean, if you don't have kids when you're my age, they're like, you know, what are you doing with your life?
No, yeah.
But they can't see that like kids are one way to express, you know, your seed, I guess.
Right.
But there are also other ways, there are ideas that you can grow.
Right.
So like with your mic and stuff, like that's almost like a baby.
Yeah.
Like you grew a baby there. Someone else is taking care of your baby. But you know, that your baby is still growing.
Right.
It's out there. Like with this place right here, this is like a baby that we're growing.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. This place has been a hub for a lot of stuff. Like the influence that extends out. And that's what I see like kids as an extension of like your life, of your influence, like the impact, the proof that you were here in this world, that you impacted it and continue to influence this world through this child, through the values you instill in it, through the way you raise it up.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this place is, I feel like. And that's exactly what like my mic is. You know, when people, you know, harp on having children, they don't realize that there are other ways to make your mark in this world. And a lot of things can be your child, so to speak. And, you know, I don't think anything really competes with a child, but who's to say, like, you know, you create stuff, you see great people in the world. How deep do you have to dig to get to someone who was just doing something that seemed innocuous, but they were passionate about, and that extended to, you know, fucking Isaac Newton or something, you know, that extended to Einstein or Elon Musk or these huge people you see that are responsible for a lot of what's going on in the world. And I don't believe there was ever like a wasted life, you know, like any life that made it here influenced people somehow. I don't care how, even if it was a kid that was like miscarried, that it influenced the parents somehow. And then that influenced their actions going forward. Like every life influence extends, like the butterfly effect. If you go back in time and kill a butterfly, even that will set off a chain of events that'll have your future looking completely different by the time you come back. And I believe that for every single person. You take one person out of the equation, that could set off a chain of events that would, in some area of the world, make it look completely different.
Yeah, that's true. There's a neuroscientist that studies this, a behavioral psychologist. It's Robert Sapolsky. And he basically says that you really don't have any free will. And what he's basing it off of is what you just said.
Yeah.
The fact that the only reason you're here right now, sitting here talking to me, is because there's been a list of things that have happened in your life that brought you to this point right here.
So like predeterministic, like.
Yeah. And this starts from the day that you're born. So even if like I said something to you, the response you give me is based off of things that have happened in your life.
I could see that. He would have to like show me how he could track, I suppose, like, we don't have a full understanding of the brain is what I'm trying to say. So if he could, because you are predisposed in certain ways. Like, even if you can't like go into your brain and see the way the like neurons are firing, you are predisposed to certain things, you know? Like maybe I'm predisposed to a bias towards the police because of, you know, what I see throughout my life and, you know, my interactions with them throughout my life. So maybe if you ask me a question about like, what do you think about police reform? I might be biased towards one answer that you can probably predict based on my previous experiences. But to say that everything is the cause of that, because like even, you know what? Maybe he's right. Yeah, maybe he's right. I'm kind of on the side the more I think about it. Like maybe because I'm like, why did I even start comedy? I was like, I had stage fright. My first traumatic experience was being like in maybe first or second grade. And there was like a play where all the parents of all the kids are out there. And it was a Christian school. So I just had one line as Jesus. I just had to like go to like the mic and tell like Zachariah to come out of a tree or whatever.
You were Black Jesus?
Yes. Yeah, I was Jesus.
Yeah.
And I was excited because it's like, it's Jesus. Yeah. I'm Jesus. So I walk up and then I get to the mic and I see this audience of people and I freeze and I just start crying and everybody starts laughing. And that just makes it so much worse. And that image is burned into my head. And through the rest of my life, whenever I'd be in front of a stage or just in front of people like at school, giving a presentation, I would like shake very badly. I would sweat. You would start to see like tears on the edge of my eyelids. I would always go back to that. And I had no ever intention of ever touching, like comedy was the furthest thing. That was like the nightmarish situation for me, being on stage and talking to people. But then I went to go see like, you know, a lot of stuff happened before this, but then I went to go see Doug Stanhope. And I just walked out there feeling a little different. And then I started to see comedy in the scene. This was like 5 years ago in 2017. I started to see comedy in all these different places. And eventually I'm like, you know, maybe one day I'll go up. But after like 2 months of going to comedy consistently, somebody at one of the mics was like, hey, you've been thinking about going up, haven't you? I'm like, yeah, like at some point in the future. He's like, you're next. And I'm like, oh shit. So like, there's no way that could have been accounted for because left to my own devices, I probably would have never done that.
True.
But somebody else's life influenced me.
Yeah. So how bad did you bomb that night, first of all?
It was my birthday, which I didn't realize until after I got off stage. Like I was so nervous, I forgot it was my birthday. So I started on my birthday, so I know the exact day. But I didn't actually bomb.
You crushed it?
I didn't crush either.
Okay. But you got laughs.
Yeah, I got laughs because he introduced me as my first time. And this mic was real forgiving to first timers.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I opened with, you ever take a shit so big it makes you question your sexuality? And that kind of like I was too nervous to say
That's a good joke, dude. That's a good joke.
Yeah. And it was like, I just did, you know, 3 minutes of just that and just. Yeah.
Poop jokes always land.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? That felt good. I got off stage and I was like, you know what? I might do that again. And then I started doing it more and more. And then you realize, oh shit. When you first start, 3 minutes is the longest time in the world.
Right.
But then you start writing and then you write a joke that's really long and you're like, oh fuck, I don't have enough time until I do this. Now I got to go to like 2 different mics to try out these 2 different jokes.
Yeah.
And then that's how you get sucked in because it's like, oh, now people like think you're funny. So like, okay, now you got 5 minutes. It's like, oh, 5 minutes? Oh, wow, that's a lot of time now. Like now I got to push these 2 jokes together and just like rip for the last minute. It's real fun. It's real easy to get absorbed into.
Well, and then the community is awesome too. That's another big part of it. Like there's a good group of people that do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, true. And then you start to see like other people, like how they write and the jokes they make. And you're like, holy shit. Because my first year of comedy was just watching people and being like, holy shit, that is amazing writing. And like, you kind of want to like keep up because you're like the newbie on the scene. You're fresh faced. These people have been there for years. They're crushing it everywhere. You know who the killers are. You're like, you know what? I want to do it too. It's like, it's not that stopping you. You can write a good joke. It's not like they're, you know, sitting on Mount Olympus or whatever.
Right.
You're just one good joke away from being like, holy shit, like I can kill with this. And then you write one and then people are like, holy shit, dude, that's a great joke. And then like people are really supportive. But yeah, seeing everybody else's style, seeing so many different flavors. And that's what I appreciate in particular about this scene. People come from everywhere, like New York, California, Texas, and tell us that we are spoiled because we have such a diverse group of comedians that all interact with each other, sort of. And we have diverse mics that give good time with good audience.
Yeah.
Like I went to Boston for a year. I love Boston. They're great. They're great people. They're great comedians. They're funny as shit, but like they're all kind of like, there's only like 3 different types of comedians in Boston. You know, like you got like the retarded comedian, like who just gets on stage and says retarded and faggot a lot. A loser comedian, or honestly, the women. And it's like, and then the women themselves break up into different groups. But like generally speaking, like there's just certain microcosms that don't get too diverse. Like everybody sort of has like the same writing style. It's sort of like late nightish for some of them, and the other half is just like, you know, dirty, raunchy stuff. But here we got all types of stuff. We got shit that'll make you think. We got, you know, SJW humor that works and that is actually good. It's not belittling you. It's just like, you know, pro positive humor. We got clean humor. We got dirty humor. We got the sex stuff. We got the black people. We got
all kinds of stuff.
We got everything. Yeah. And
is it hard to get up in the other cities? That's one thing I've heard about people that move to other cities, bigger cities, is that it's hard to get up on the mics.
I would say their mics suck to go up at, like, especially somewhere like New York, even though I've never been to mics in New York. From what I hear, this was true in Boston too. A lot of their mics are bucket mics and lottery mics.
What does that mean?
So that means you sign up on a list. They'll take that list and rip up all the names into like their own individual like little flip. Or you sign off a slip. You sign off a slip and then put your name in a bucket. And then the entire mic is just pulling names randomly.
So you might not even get up.
You might not even get the fuck up. Or if you do, it's going to be like 4 hours after you sign up. And let's be honest. How honest do you think they are about the bucket thing? Like until their friend walks in and then they're digging through. Yeah. And then, you know,
they pull one out and they're like, oh, so-and-so.
Yeah. And being so blatant that you can just see.
Yeah. Well, don't even dig through it. Just pull one out. Who's questioning, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, AJ. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, they'll pull it to the side.
Wink at you.
Like, yeah. Or their friend will sign the paper that you can put in the bucket. They'll just have it to the side or in their pocket. And just like, oh, hey, you know, William, whatever. And there are mics you have to either bring people to.
I've heard this.
Like you can't go up unless you bring people, or you got to spend money.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that is absolute bullshit. That's why I'm not going to New York.
Yeah.
And I might go to LA. I don't know how prevalent that is out there, but I hear it's a thing in New York and I just don't even want to deal with it. And it was awful like, dealing with it in Boston, to be honest, because it's like these people know that they're used to it. That's how they run their mic. Fine. I would never make a bucket mic ever. Like if the condition for me running a mic was that it was bucket, I would rather it not exist.
Right. And you're the outsider when you go to a new place too. So, I mean, you don't really know anyone.
Right. So you're at the bottom of the list already, unless you're going there to like do shows, like, you know, someone who came down here, which is the smart thing to do. Like if you're trying to do comedy, if anybody's listening and you're trying to do comedy and you start a show or a mic down here and people from out of town want to get in on it and they host shows, hook them up, treat them well, make that connection. Mm-hmm. So that way you have an in whenever you go to another city. Because you can just hit that person back up. Like Pickle was explaining this to me too. Like when he goes to like Austin or he has Marcus out there that he knows, Alex Quiroz out there, you can just like walk in and know the showrunners. You know all the important people. Because when you get out there and you don't know anyone, you know, you got to go to every show to learn out who's running shows. You got to like somehow get it in with them and like start a rapport. But if you know their friend who went out to New Orleans, they can just introduce you like, oh, this is the person who ran shows in New Orleans. So like, oh, now when you go to New Orleans, I can just put you on shows.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's the way it happens. Don't just like cold go to a place because that is Jesus Christ. That is so painful. That is so painful. If you know someone in New York who runs shows, go out there, immediately capitalize on that connection because that's how you get ahead. That's how you use your connections. Yeah,
that's why it's kind of nice to see like our comedians here actually moving and branching out to other places because it does free up you guys to go to these other cities.
Yeah. Yes.
And then it even like they can talk about the mics here.
Yeah.
And send people back this way.
Yeah, which is why like having real estate in the scene is so important. Mm-hmm. Like if you're trying to get ahead, once you get good, like once you get your first solid 10 minutes, start a mic or a show, one of the two. Find a venue that'll put you up. Start that, create a space for comedy. Do that for like a year or two, and you'll start to see people trickle in from other places. Like, hey, can I get on your show? Or have like special places in your mic where you do features and let people come in like from out of town and feature on it. And that'll give you an in like California. I got like 8 people from California who came down. We were on the same show. I didn't even have a show. We were on the same show. They saw me kill. It was like, hey man, if you're around Cali, I got a show. Hit me up. So I'm trying to get to California like right now. But yeah, having real estate down here is like the first step to like getting anywhere, I think. Dude,
and networking is a key in any endeavor, I think.
True. And I am trash at networking, which is why I'm saying this to anyone else who's like me, who's like fucking autistic and just can't like figure it out. After years of it now, I finally like got it down. But yeah, like I just could not figure out like, how the fuck do I get there? How do I do this? How do I do this?
I'm the same way, dude. Like it's you know, we're talking about hating people. Yeah. You know, that's a bad thing for networkers.
Yes. Bro, this is the type of conversation that I thrive in because it's not just like random bullshit. It's stuff that I think about.
Yeah.
I don't do small talk. Like we're talking outside and we're talking about like, oh yeah, the parade routes. It's like, what? I don't care. And it's so hard for me. Like, I think there are comedians who hate me because they'll be talking to me actively and they can see that I've checked out.
Yeah.
And then they'll like ask me, like their voice will like inflect up, like they're asking the question. I'm like, yeah.
Check back in. Yeah.
Yeah. And they could get uncomfortable. And I'm like, bro, I was uncomfortable the whole time. Like if I'm putting this effort to listen to you, you got to put this effort to like, forgive me that I'm not kind of listening. I'm not saying you're boring or anything. Everybody has their own way of operating. The way I operate might be shitty to people, but it's just the way I am. I'm not, saying I'm some high-minded person that can only do mentally rigorous conversation. It's just like, these are the things I think about. I think about dumb shit too, but if you're not talking about my dumb shit, then I'm checked out. Like,
So I don't really check out in conversation. I'm just so like ADD that you'll see me looking around all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm hearing everything everyone's saying, but I'm just like, I see everything.
Yeah, no, I don't have that problem. The problem is just I literally just like, the parents from the Peanuts, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Wah, 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 wah. That's what it turns into for me. And I'm just like, or that scene in Wanted, like the movie Wanted, where they curve the bullets when they shoot.
Yeah, I know this. I know the movie, but what scene are we talking about?
It's at the very beginning where this dude, like his boss is like yelling at him. And then like the yelling just like becomes real muffled and like there's just like tinnitus that just start to happen.
And he
then
gets
when he's finally done, he's sweating.
Was that when he smacks the guy?
At first, this is the second time around. The first one is when like he's sweating and then he has to like take these anxiety pills and he's like fanning himself.
Yeah.
And then he meets the girl and they go through all that stuff and then the yelling happens again. He's like, you know what, fuck that. And then takes the keyboard and smack him.
Yeah, I couldn't deal with that shit either, man.
Like, yeah.
I did IT for a little bit. And no one ever yelled at me like that, but it was so boring. Like when it comes to being in office spaces and stuff like that, my brain can't even fathom how someone would do that for 40 years of their life.
Bro, I don't fathom how anybody does anything for 40 years of their life. Like, right. I love comedy. I don't see myself doing this at 60. I just don't, And there are people who start at like 50 or 60. That's fine. But after 40 years, you get bored.
Like, do you like look at yourself in the future? Do you see yourself in the future? Because I don't even do that.
I can't. Like, my life has already been so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, where I saw myself 5 years from now, 5 years ago, like if you asked me 5 years ago, where you see yourself 5 years from now, I would have never imagined that I'd be doing comedy, doing a podcast in a bar in New Orleans. I was just like, I'm going to work some dead end job probably and like never do anything interesting, or I'm going to get into IT.
Yeah.
And, do that for 40 years. But yeah, I didn't imagine that I would have like any sort of inkling to do any of this. Like I could not predict that at all. I never saw it coming. I never saw it happening. I never saw myself going to college. That happened. Like every couple of years, my life takes a turn that I just never expected.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to look into the future and think that, oh, this isn't going to happen or that's going to happen. I don't know what's going to be happening. I could probably be doing fucking AI porn generating shit in the future. Like be the fucking multi-billionaire mogul that cracked the code. Like got to get people to do, like, I don't know. I could be living under a bridge. I don't fucking know. I have no idea.
So do you think the people that do work those 40-hour week jobs for 40 years, you think those are like NPCs?
No,
because I mean, you're like you're consciously making decisions in your life.
Yeah.
So you could be a player in the game.
That ain't true. If I set out a path, like if I set out to do something specific, I could achieve that, but right now where I am in life, I'm open to all paths before me because I don't have to close myself off to just one. Like I'm open to all possible opportunities. I keep myself prepared for every opportunity that comes my way. But people who find themselves in a stable position, people are just wired differently. There are people who are creatures of habit. Like my dad's one of them. Like my dad has the same morning routine. He does the same thing every time. I don't think he's an NPC. He's tried to instill this in me. I'm not. I'm an unpredictable person. I might wake up at 11 one day. I might wake up at 4 in the morning and start my day then and just start doing stuff. Or I might wake up at 3 in the evening. Like I have no idea. Mm-hmm. I like that in my life though. I like to have some unpredictableness. I like to have shit that goes different. Like I don't do the same thing in the same order every day. Now I might brush my teeth first and then take a shower, then brush my teeth, or then, cook food, eat, then take a shower, or take the shower, shit, brush my teeth, then eat. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's just all different for me. But people who do the same thing over and over, I think that gives them a sense of security, maybe. Whereas like living a lifestyle you can't predict. I've seen people like have panic attacks because something just wasn't so. And, I don't think they're like, I don't believe in, actually, I believe in NPCs. There are definitely people who fall into like this just robotic mentality where they don't think about or question the world around them. They're just like I heard somebody say recently, reacting to life and not really consciously living it.
Yeah.
So those people exist. I don't know what to do about that, but if you're working a job for 40 years, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
So here's what I think about that. If you start looking at like brain chemistry, you know what myelination is, right?
No.
Okay, so the way your brain works is you have these synapses and the electricity goes over the synapses.
Right.
So if you do a skill over and over again, so for instance, we'll take basketball. If you shoot a basketball over and over and over again, your brain is going to go, okay, we're doing this a lot. So let's make this easier on ourselves.
Right.
So it's going to myelinate those synapses.
Okay.
So what that does is it puts fat deposits on the synapses, which acts as insulation.
Right.
So you don't lose electrical signals whenever the electrical signals are going, and it moves faster. The signals move faster.
Right.
That way that shot becomes fluid, and it's automatic every time, the same movement every time. But you have to do this over and over again to myelinate those strands. So a lot of people who have ADHD, ADD, they don't myelinate as easy as normal people do, neurotypicals. So I think that a lot of those people that do the same routines every single day, they have just done it for so long, they've myelinated those strands.
True.
So it's hard for them to break out of that routine.
True.
And then you have people like you and I who don't myelinate.
Right.
And we can do whatever we want to at any point in time.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a bit like how habits are formed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When something becomes like so ingrained. Like I guess if you get to a point where you myelinate, it becomes unconscious in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like where those synapses, I guess, can just like fire on their own, like where you wake up and you're just like already programmed to do something.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way that is kind of NPC-ish behavior, but I don't know. If everybody lived like me, the world would be a little chaotic.
It couldn't be. If everyone was like us, there's no way. Like you need people to run those things.
Yeah, I love like people who are creatures of habit because, you know, they are very like steady. They're very structured. There's a solid foundation there. If I have someone who's a creature of habit who I can observe in their life has done the same morning routine for like 20 years, I know that person's going to be like effective at whatever job. Like if they show up the first day, I know what the next 20 years are going to be. If I have to hire that person, that's what I'm hiring.
Yeah.
You know, I know that, you know, they're going to show up at that 10 minutes early they did every single time. They're going to show up and do this every single time and do that every single time and do that every single time. And that's kind of what you want. Unfortunately, we live in a system where like everywhere, like if you work for someone, they only want that type of person, which I can understand. Like I just said, I want that type of person, but there are different like areas where people excel at. And it's like, I go back to that meme I saw where it's like, you got all these creatures in front of a tree, their own tree.
Okay.
And they each have a grade like stuck to them. And the monkey is on top of the tree with an A, and then the fish is in a fish bowl with
the Einstein quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you judge a fish on his ability to climb a tree.
Yes, that's I think.
Yeah.
He's going to look stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, we all have different skills because it's like.
That's true. But that's so I've learned a lot about people by managing this place right here.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Those people are effective in the workplace, but I still think that there's a way to, you know, not teach people how to break outside of that box, but give them some ability to critically think in the workplace.
Right.
Because like there are certain tasks here that we have set up, like the closing procedures,
right,
the opening procedures. Those things need to be done the right way every single time.
Right.
But when it comes to like just solving like little problems around the bar, like one time we had a drain clog up, and you know, a lot of places that have the drones there, they would call someone to come fix it.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, no, if something clogs, like you guys fix it, like figure out a way to problem solve. Or one night we had the door handle broke off the bathroom. So if you've been to the bathroom over on that side, you know there's a Jenga piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the bartenders attached 2 Jenga pieces and string to it. So that's now our door handle.
Yeah, which is actually pretty cool.
I love it. Yeah.
It fucking works. Like, hey, that's not gonna break.
But no, that's a way to like, you know, help them like stay active in the workplace too.
Right.
Yeah, mentally.
Yeah, no, I appreciate like that level because that would be something like I would do. Like,
yeah.
I'm not like the usual route, like for, I guess, like, you know, someone who would be like a typical business owner, like it's just like thinking like, oh, you know, everything has to be like just a certain way. And like wants that bot mentality where it's like, oh, that break, you call this number right here and get this guy to come do it. And it's like, bro, we got a whole bathroom that we have shut down because like we just don't have a handle. Fuck all that. Like get the Jenga pieces, take a string and then make it. That's exactly what I would do.
MacGyver it together.
Yeah, right. You know, like I think, you know, being punctual and stuff like that is important. Mm-hmm. You know, doing your actual like duties that are important to your job. That's obviously important. I would never question that. I'm not thinking everybody should just like, you know, get to work like 3 hours after. Who gives a fuck? You know, like I would not want to hire someone like that. Like, who gives a fuck? But
I've had to deal with some of those too, and they didn't last very long.
Yeah, no, that is annoying to work with too, because like now I have to pick up your slack. because you're not here on time. Like, yeah, that's annoying, but I've done it a lot. So I've been that person and I've been a victim of it. And once I saw that, I, course corrected. But, I tend to go different ways when I'm problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a different way every time, but I feel like it's a trend of getting better rather than just like the same thing over and over again. And like I said, people have different skills. Like, I work service industry. If I worked service industry, which I used to, but now I'm in a hospital, but I work service industry. Whenever there was a problem at a table, we had a procedure of how to handle it. Like, profusely apologize. You take the blame, grab a manager if it's like that bad and let them handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I would handle it differently every time. I would read the table. Like I would think about what's going on, not just like react the way they want me to. It's like, okay, this person's mad about this, but what's this context? Like we've had a great evening so far. I've been making these people laugh and joke. I could probably save this. Like I'll crack a joke right then and there and be like, oh man, these people in the back, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say something stupid and they'll be like, yeah, I know how it is, man, blah, blah, blah. And then, now it's not an issue. I just bring it back. Situation neutralized. I fix whatever the problem was. They're happy again. Yeah. Whereas like they were kind of like getting mad, but it's like, I handle that. There's someone who I wasn't like talking to that much at all. Like we don't have a rapport at the table. And then something huge went down and they're like, this is not even what I ordered. They're fuming. They're mad. Yeah. Now I'm going to apologize and I'm going to, try to handle it myself at first, but then I'll get a manager or something else. And, there's multiple ways to solve like different things that come up a lot, but generally I don't never handle the same like problem the same way every single time. So
right.
Like how they would want you to, I feel like, the way I do it is it's a little better because it's fitting the context of what's happening rather than just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, no, I think the way you're handling this stuff is that's the way a good employee should handle it. Like that's what I would go for when I'm hiring people.
Right.
Like I want someone who can critically think themselves through a situation and who can stay emotionally controlled.
Right.
Like that's one of the other big things I've noticed in managing people is if you get someone that doesn't know how to control their emotions, rather than de-escalating situations, they tend to escalate the situations.
Right.
And we've had that issue here once, twice too. We had a bartender here that couldn't control his emotions. And there was one night he was in here and he pissed off this guy. And this guy, like I'm tall. This guy was like 6'5". He was taller than me.
Oh, Jesus.
And he was just yoked.
Damn.
And I was like, and the bartender was not big at all. Okay.
Right.
And I was here luckily that night. So I managed to keep him from getting his ass beat, but he wasn't like backing down from this guy. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no cops here. Okay. If that guy wants to beat your ass, he's going to beat your ass. Like you need to like just de-escalate the situation rather than,
the push. Yeah.
Rather than buck up to him. It's like, you're going to get knocked back here. This is not a good situation for you.
Also, you work here. Like,
yeah. I mean, but that emotional control is a big thing with men nowadays. I think, I heard something a while back. They were talking about like the single parent homes, the mothers raising the kids.
Yeah,
and they were saying that's one reason that a lot of men now have issues when it comes to the emotions because they don't have someone there to regulate their emotions. That's what a man can do for a young man is teach him how to control his emotions.
Right. That is absolutely true. That's actually another talking point in the ideology for the red pill guys, but they're talking about the feminization of men, where men are becoming like increasingly emotional and things like that. But also you can flip that back and be like, these single parent households, men are abdicating their responsibilities a lot and leaving women to raise these kids, which is going to have that effect, they're saying. Or, it's not always leaving. Sometimes they die. Something unfortunate happens, Maybe they couldn't be there. Maybe the mom didn't know who the father was or whatever, or couldn't find him or something like that. But I think that is a very important point that we need to recognize. I mean, only really men can truly like understand how to raise a man who's, a little stoic, who has himself at an even keel, at an even temperature, and how to think about life in a way that doesn't, just cause this immediate knee-jerk response, and how to think critically about things, and not to be like, emotionally repressed. That's why, men's suicide rate is the highest of the genders. I feel like when a lot of men are expected to act in a certain way that is just void of emotion, because that's what a lot of men will do. They'll go the other way. If they aren't super emotional, they'll go, okay, no emotion. And then that creates this internal conflict in them where they're emotional beings, but they won't ever let it out. Things are happening to them.
It just bottles up.
They just bottle it up. And then it's only a matter of time before that bottle bursts. And then that's when, they go the dark route. So I think, men's mental health is really important like nowadays. And, I think it's the solution to a lot of problems, especially like with women's issues and the patriarchy that they have with it, because it affects men too. We have these unrealistic expectations of what men are supposed to be a lot of the times. And we don't have a culture and a family structure and an environment that promotes what that's supposed to be. And it's not realistic in the first place. I think we need to change what we're expecting from men and create a culture that allows for that, because I don't think like anybody should be like breaking down crying just because like something bad happened every single time, like
right.
Things happen to us, you figure it out. Yeah, you might get down about it, you might react to it, but figure it out and move forward. Like, your dog dies. Yeah, that's sad, but don't let it destroy your life. And, we all face our challenges, but I think that there's no real place besides therapy, which I don't think is like the ultimate solution. What keeps people mentally like stable? I think it's healthy relationships and stuff like that. And men, by and large, don't really know these days how to cultivate those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you do. Like, you seem like a very well put together guy, but there's a lot of guys out here who I see like out on that front patio. There's like just a lot of like broken dudes that just come through. It's just like, yo, dude, like, whoa.
Well, they come to a bar. I mean, it makes sense. They come to drink their struggles away, I guess.
Yeah, and just like hearing the way they talk to other people, and it's like I said, like I know that we're all a victim of our environment and the way we were raised and stuff like that. So like I don't hold it against them, but I can tell like you're coming from a very like emotionally lacking place.
But do you think I think that it could be society in general, because if you look at how many people are on some type of, I don't know, antipsychotic or something nowadays, I think it's like 60% of fucking people are on something right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a problem with society as a whole.
Right.
And like, that's like, it just gets so deep. This problem does when you start thinking about these things, that it's like, where do you even start?
Right. I think the issue is that we've lost like a realistic framing of what humans are. Okay. We are not these 8 hours a day, every day, clock in, clock out, like type of beings. Like We are at our core unpredictable to some point. And the fundamental thing that makes life for a human being worth living is healthy relationships. So, having a community that you feel connected to and a part of, having a family structure that you feel connected to and a part of, having friends in a social circle that you feel connected to and a part of, those are the fundamental building blocks of a happy life for a human. You could be living under a bridge. If you have a family that loves you and friends under that bridge, you're okay. Mm-hmm. Like I've lived in shitty apartments with rats and roaches everywhere. Had the best time of my life because I had friends and I had people who loved me around me. That's what the source, I think, of happiness is for most people in general. After that, the acquisition of your goals that you set out before you, accomplishing those goals, love and things like that. That's the fundamental thing that we need to be happy. And I think that a reason that we're lacking a lot of there's a dopamine shortage in the country and the world right now is because the way we set up society doesn't really prioritize that. It doesn't prioritize communities. It doesn't prioritize friendships and family structures. I mean, think about it. We got to work. If you're not rich, if you're living in lower class, in the working class or in poverty, both of your parents have to work from the time you're born, which means your care isn't there that much. Like both your parents are working half the day. You're sent to a daycare or you're in school. And by the time you get off, either your parents are still working or only one's home. You're not getting that family bond. People aren't eating dinner together anymore, at a table and talking about the day. I grew up, it wasn't my parents' fault, but when we grew up, we weren't eating dinner together. People would take their food, go to their rooms, and that was it. Just kind of cut off. Our society doesn't promote that. It doesn't say, well, let's cut these hours like this so that, there's more time for people in families to do that. And yeah, there are jobs you can work that are 9 to 5 and that coincides with the, kids' school time and they get off around 3 or 4 or whatever, or 3 or 5 or whatever. But that's really not enough. People need days to spend with their family. People need time off. People need to cultivate friendships outside of classrooms and these strict settings with all these strict rules and things to adhere to. And that's key when you're a kid. That's key in those first 15, 16 years, like I said. And we really need to promote that. And you need good parenting, and we let people do whatever the fuck they want to with their kids. My most radical view is that people shouldn't be allowed to parent by themselves, or certain people shouldn't be allowed to be parents at all. That's my most radical view. I think you have to pass a parenting test. You have to pass something, because the fact that so many shitty people are allowed to produce so many more shitty people is a detriment to our society.
Idiocracy, dude. Idiocracy.
Yeah. Oh man, I actually haven't seen that movie. I want to.
Oh my God, you got to watch it.
I have to.
It's so prevalent for our time too. But no, I think you're onto something there too, because when I went to Ecuador, it's so different down there because every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they meet up at a place and eat with their family.
Yes, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah, that community stuff.
Yes, like having these community centers, like it used to be the church, I feel like the church's place in the community has slipped a lot. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the church. I saw like its place, and it was like a good place. But I mean, without the, the theology and stuff like that, we have community centers and we invest in more community centers where people can just go of any age. You can be a family. You can bring your kids there, at 3 points in a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's always like going to be like a family meal thing. And in the center, there's like, other stuff like there's, games to play and stuff to do that. There's like therapy rooms that aren't like actual therapists, but like rooms where people can just go to talk to each other in private and like say stuff like and get it off their chest. And like these, conflict resolution rooms where people can just go in. There's like a mediator and people can just like talk out whatever problems they have and actually build a community, because people are so fractured nowadays. Like our society is so atomized. Everybody's on themselves. It's sink or swim. You're on your own. There isn't a helping hand coming for you. Nobody's coming to save you. And that's just not the way we are meant to operate. We are tribal, we are social, and we need that fundamentally to operate at our max capacity, which is why you see people, I think, feeling like, they're not getting enough of that dopamine hit because more and more people are feeling disconnected from the world around them. Yeah. More and more people are in their phones now, and we get our validation from just the like button instead of someone sitting face to face and saying, I appreciate you,
Have you ever heard the book, The Human Zoo?
The Human Zoo? I have. This sounds interesting though. I like that title.
So I'll loan it to you if you want to read it.
Please do.
Okay. Yeah. I'll bring it next Tuesday if you're around. I'll just leave it at the bar somewhere.
I'll be here.
But yeah, it states this like clearly that you need a tribe.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that big cities, it talks about the cities that we live in now is that you don't know where your tribe is.
Right.
And when you don't know where your tribe is, you like live in this state of stress, like the cortisol levels build up in your system because you don't know if someone's there you can turn to.
Right.
And especially if you're not from that area. Like I'm not from here. I have a tribe now because this place right here is developed as my tribe.
Right.
But whenever I first moved down here, if I had an issue, like I didn't have anyone to call. And I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, like, who are these people? I don't know anybody down here. So it states that you need that tribe or these issues do build up. And I think that's what a lot of times we have these radical groups that form. And I think they're forming just because people are trying to find somewhere to fit in.
Yes.
And they're dealing with like the negative ideologies in these groups as well as this positive aspect they're getting to.
Exactly. I love that. I love that observation. I need that book because that's the problem you get with like incels and people who get these radical ideologies. They didn't have a positive tribe formed for them. Mm-hmm. So they become easier to take advantage of through like a negative, like ideology. Someone saying, I know how you feel. I know that you feel, left out. You don't feel a part of anything. And you know what? It's not even your fault. It's these people's fault. And then you go look into it and you see all these people saying the same thing. And it's like, yeah, that is how I feel. And they have their stories. And it's like, yeah, I've been through that too. And now you have a place where you're relating. Mm-hmm. Now it's very easy to get sucked into that. Whereas you probably would have never, if you not like, come on, have you had a tribe,
Yeah.
It's hard to get sucked into that stuff when you have a place you feel you belong. It's very hard to get sucked into that, which is why I say I've seen an incel get reformed. I've seen these radical people. The way you de-radicalize someone is by exposing them to the far other side, not the radical side, but the other side that they're like scared of, that they're pushing against, like an incel. The way you cure these people who like are misogynist, deep misogynist, think women should be, just sex slaves for men and stuff like that. And, that's the way human history should have always worked. And, as a man, I deserve a harem or whatever. The way you de-radicalize them in these weird, awkward, out there people is by bringing them into whatever tribe you have, because they're already radicalized. Anything is going to be better than where they are. I've seen it happen. I've seen this guy very messed up in the head, has these really faulty ideas about women, never talked to many women. And this is back when I was in college, but he was a roommate with one of my friends. So, me and my friend, we got our own group or whatever. And we see this guy. And, at first we're really turned off by him. When we didn't hang out, we go by his place, we'd see him and be like, all right, time to bounce. We go out. If you talk to him for more than a few seconds, you'd be turned off. But I'm going to try not to ramble here, but.
No, I'm listening to you.
Oh, yeah, Dina.
Yeah.
But we would talk about him sometimes. And I forget who, but one of us was like, you know what? Maybe he needs to see what it's like to like live with friends or something, like have, a social group. And so we just like threw a party at that friend's place, who was my friend, who was that guy's roommate, the insole's roommate. So we threw a party there, and we would like have parties there, and like he would be there, he'd be hanging out, and you would see him like talk to women, and I'm just like gonna get scared off.
Yeah.
But then because we would talk to him beforehand about like, no, man, we challenge him on these ideas. This is not how women are. This is not how you need to think about women. This is like, they're humans just like you, looking for the same things as you, live with, like, safety and comfort. They're cool, they're chill, they're not looking to like take advantage of you. Like most of them aren't.
He didn't get angry you guys were confronting him with these things?
No, he did, but he got very angry. But like we weren't like challenging him.
He was receptive to it.
Sort of. He would challenge us back. That's the thing. Like he would challenge us back very aggressively and be like, no. And, we would just put the idea in his head. The point wasn't to change his mind. We put the idea in his head, give him this exposure, let him see how those chips like fell, and then he would see how other guys interacted with women. And he wasn't like even a bad looking guy. He maybe had some like hygiene habits that needed to change, but he would see like how it would go down. And then we would have like more and more get-togethers at his place, and eventually he evened out. Like he didn't even notice it was happening.
Right.
Like eventually, like he would be talking to a woman, and it became awkward because he would always try to go in for the kill and like try to like have sex with them or something. But then eventually he evened out and just like started to like, this is like a year process, by the way. It's like 6 months to a year. Eventually you would see him even out, and he would just be talking genuinely about like something that interested him. He was a huge like gaming nerd, an anime fan. And there were women who were in anime and gaming, like, and they would talk to him, and their boyfriends would be sitting right there. So like he's, kind of subdued. But he would go back and forth, and eventually, he came around on certain issues. And then after that, I think like now he's like a manager of some place, and he's like real chill now. Like he's real cool. Like he's evened out. He's not an incel at all anymore. I think he has a girlfriend or a fiance. But
like the level of compassion to like work with that guy for a year, like that's something that most people don't have.
Yeah, because these guys are very like, they're spiky. Like they're hard to like approach. They have this hard shell that is just like super toxic. And, when you're living a good life, like, you're okay. You don't want to invite that into your realm because it can backfire real easy. But we went to lengths to make sure like nobody was hurt. We kept a very good eye on them. And it's just something, we were in a very particular place too, because you can't like just do that now. We were in the perfect situation to do that. He was living with one of these people. So he had to be around this like environment that we fostered. And so he had to be exposed, and he had to embarrass himself with the shit he said. He had to say dumb shit. And eventually, without him even noticing, he became like a face people noticed. So like other people would notice him, and like they were kind of like friends because they would recognize him. It's like, hey man, how you doing? I'm Thomas. Like I'll say a different name. Like, how you doing, Thomas? And they'd like dap him off, and that was more like outside social interaction than he would get like in his own devices. Yeah. So he felt some camaraderie there. Like people would notice him. People wouldn't just like ignore him. He would talk more and more. There was one time, like eventually the whole like group was just like talking to him, and like we were debating all his ideas, and people were just like, and it was kind of like lighthearted. We were having fun, but like the party like just stopped. People are just drinking. We're like, what the fuck? That's stupid. And like talking to him, and like people were back and forth and applauding like ideas they like and booing him. But it was like tongue in cheek. Like nobody was mean about it. Yeah. But even that gave him like, you could see like he was like getting into it, and like he was like becoming friends with like people. And then like he came around on these ideas. Like now those people, he found his tribe in that people. Yeah. He found a woman, like he's reformed. Like he has a girlfriend. He's like managing a place. He's living a good life now. He doesn't think about, he looks back on that time being like, holy shit, man, I was lost. And like, thank you guys. But
see, that's another thing the internet breeds though, is it breeds those incels or those groups that you're talking about. And like, so you need to be like face to face with people. That's why I love this place right here, because it puts people face to face. Like there's just one TV here, but most of the time we keep it off. So you actually come here and you have conversations with people. And when you have conversations with people of all across the spectrum, different colors, different places, everywhere, you realize that we're all the same.
Yes, exactly.
We're all the same.
You do need that face-to-face time. And that's the cure for a lot of like what this internet has done to our perverted souls, because it gives you a window into like literally the worst parts of humanity. It really does. You're just beat over the head with it. People are constantly trauma dumping on social media. The most unrealistic shit you can expect from people, all these models with their, sexy bodies living these amazing lives. People are only posting either the best or the worst shit. And that gives you a radicalized view of how the world works. And it all becomes condensed into like this weird framing that's just not realistic. and, you know, getting out and talking to people face to face, you see the world is much more diverse and much different than whatever it is you're getting through these red pill, blue pill, black pill ideologies online. They're selling you the same pills that they sell people in real life who don't have a tribe. Like, it's
dude, I had to delete my Facebook. Okay.
Oh, I did too.
So I had a buddy on there and we were talking about our ideas, and I posted something and he like shot up a comment on what I posted. And I DM'd him and I was like, hey, dude, you know, if you got a problem, you know, we just call me, because we have each other's number. We don't have to do this in front of everyone, because I know that these like Facebook is a sounding board for the people that are on there, you know? So it depends on, you know, what his friends group were that were seeing the messages, what the algorithm was saying that's seeing the messages. And I knew that my idea was kind of like, it was radical based off of that platform. And he's like, no, I don't want to talk to you about this over the phone. If we're going to talk about it, we're going to do it on Facebook. And I was like, okay, block, delete. Then I just deleted Facebook too. I was like, fuck it, I'm not even dealing with this shit. If people do not want to like discuss these ideas personally, if they just want to like bombard each other on the internet, that's not getting ahead anywhere.
Right.
Like if he and I sit down one-on-one and discuss the idea, I may come over to his side. But if I just get raped over the internet,
right, then
I'm going to hate all those people even more.
Exactly. Because it's privy to dogpiling, which is not like, especially like if you are, even if you're right, there would just be like this group of people that are in their little bubble that'll just dogpile your post. This happened to me, I think, with Louis C.K. And this is when I should have deleted Facebook. But when that came out, I won't sugarcoat it. I kind of defended him. But I wasn't saying what he did was right. People are like, he shouldn't do comedy anymore. He should be canceled and like, you know, not come to comedy. I'm like, that's a bit too far. What he did wasn't rape. It was creepy. It was wrong. He lost all his deals. I'm like, yes, take away all his deals. Take away all his workings right now. All that shit's canceled. For sure. Like, he needs some sort of punishment, but there needs to be a road to forgiveness. And that just set people off. Like, if you think that what he did is rape, you're crazy. And then that just created a shitstorm.
Yeah. People hated you for that.
Yeah. And it's just like, man, I could discuss this from a nuance and like actual, like, you know, person to person, like way. But the fact that we're over the internet, I'm getting dogpiled, it's not even worth it.
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah. And everybody like kind of wants to virtue signal to each other, where it's like, look how moral I am. And it's just weird.
Can you believe AJ said that? Oh my God.
Yeah, man. Like it's so silly that people aren't ready to have like a truly uncomfortable conversation, because I've seen places. This is what I used online for now. I seek that out now. That's why I deleted Facebook and Instagram and all that shit for like 6 months, the past 6 months. And I had to reset my brain about how this works and what role I want social media to play in my life. And it's an algorithm that feeds you what you're looking for. So I started looking for the shit I wanted.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking for like healthy conversations and debates about, you know, uncomfortable topics. And I'm finding it. Those people exist. And so like now I get to see the debate about pedophilia without people being like, oh, you think that you're a pedophile? And it's like, no, they're having an actual nuanced discussion about it without these over emotional reactions.
Dude, I've been saying this to people for a while. There are ways to tailor the algorithms to yourself.
Right. It doesn't have to just be hate spewing nonsense 24/7.
Yeah.
Like we all just fall into. And the algorithm will try to push you into that, but you have to be very careful about what you see. I use the X button at the top of the Facebook post. Like, don't show me this again. Like if I see something stupid, like do not show me this. I'm quick to snooze or block a motherfucker now.
Yeah.
Like I do not play games. I curate my social media to serve me now.
100%.
Like, it's not about to ruin my mind.
Yeah. I still haven't went back to the Facebook. I have the Facebook page for the bar and stuff, but I don't have my personal page on there anymore. I do have Instagram though. And I tell you, those algorithms hardcore. Like I only see certain things on there. And if I do, if you look at my Instagram, there's no girls shaking their asses. Yeah, it took me a long time to get that, but finally the algorithm realized, hey, this guy doesn't want to see this.
Right.
But yeah, that one. And if you look at my followers too, like I only have like 100 followers, and like I keep it super low. Or I mean, I only follow 100 people because I don't even like other people that like are in the arts. Like a lot of times I don't want to see their stuff either, because I use Instagram now as a learning tool.
Right.
Rather than like a social media platform to push myself, it's a tool that feeds me knowledge.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I do. I have 2 separate Instagram accounts. One is for comedy and one is my personal one, whereas like I'm using this for just to like knowledge, just to expand my way of thinking, to find what it is I'm looking for out of life, to find the realm that I want my mind to be swarmed in. Like if I'm going to open up something and it's going to blast me in the face or something, I'm going to choose what that something is. And that's what I do. My Instagram and my Facebook. I got 2 accounts for each, and I hardcore put a leash on that algorithm for both of them.
Yeah,
like,
there are a lot of people that don't do that. So I have We have another guest coming in, but I'm gonna tell you this one time. It's coming in at 1.
Okay.
We've been talking for like 2 hours, bro. I love this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, appreciate it because this has been great.
Yeah, it's great. So one of the things I want to say real quick is you've seen what is that fucking show? Oh my god, the one about the robots, Westworld.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you've seen Westworld, you know how their algorithm works to their robots, right?
Yeah.
They like push the suggestions out to the robots. So I think, and it's gonna be kind of a stretch, but go and end on though.
Okay.
But I think that we are like the robots, and the algorithms that are pushing the suggestions to us are the Instagram and Facebook threads.
Right.
So if you let the algorithm push you all the suggestions that it wants you to, it's going to control where you go and how you move in the world. But if you tell the algorithm, then you're going to be in control of how you move through the world.
This is what I think these people are referring to now is like breaking the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like Andrew Tate's whole thing. Like he's Morpheus and he broke the matrix and he knows how to like fix all this and tell the algorithm. And he does. He was genius about it. This dude set up a business platform that told people to take all of his clips, create channels where they just take his clips and post all of that. And then they can monetize his clips and make money off of him.
He did that?
He created an army of people. That's how he became so big so fast. He created an army of motherfuckers.
I didn't know that.
Literally, I made the mistake of downloading TikTok. You cannot control that algorithm. You just cannot. I deleted it already.
Yeah, I didn't download that.
And it's just spyware and shit. Like TikTok's awful. Delete it. If you're listening, delete that shit. But I got it literally 8 posts in a row from different channels or different accounts. Andrew Tate shit. And you'll see one girl shaking her ass and then 18 more Andrew Tate videos. And he created an army of motherfuckers just doing this. That's how I even know about him. I had TikTok for a month. Hated myself. I want to die. Deleted it. But
so here's
that's how you game the algorithm, and he was right. That's how you break the matrix.
But he obviously didn't do something right. This is my thing about it. Like I love what he was saying. I'm glad that he was pushing that, being the voice out there for all those young men,
mm-hmm.
and calling people out on their shit. And I'm glad that he found a way to push that out there. But at the same time, they still took him down. That's where it gets me, is like they still got him.
Well, yeah, he was being stupid about it too, because he created these videos talking about how he like pimp women into like doing sex stuff. And like he make them fall in love, get them to like Romania or whatever.
So was that what they arrested him for?
Well, it was apparently sex trafficking. This is still like allegations and stuff. There's still court stuff coming out.
Do we think it's a trumped up charge, or do we think it's like a real thing that's...
There's equal opinions on both sides. This is dead in the middle. It's 50-50 right now. People think that, somebody probably set him up because he's so successful and they don't like it. Or there could be something there because he's on camera talking about, I got this girl, I got her to come down. And then I got my main girl. We go to a dinner and I get her to convince her to do the cam work. And then you come to my place and I take your passport and I would lie about their taxes. And he's on video saying that.
Right.
But also, it's called the Loverboy method. If he actually did that, or if he was just like playing into his own like character or whatever, that's up for discussion.
There's my 1 o'clock right there.
Heard. All right, and we can end on that.
Okay, AJ, dude, thanks for coming in today, brother. It's been a blast.
Thank
dude.
you. I appreciate you, man.
We'll do this again really soon.
I hope so. Please, I'm always on.
Social medias. You want to push those really quick?
AJ Bell OL on Instagram. That's all you need. That's really all you need. You don't need to follow me in anything else. But yeah, I'm gonna let you get out of here. Okay. Thank you, man.